What's up, everyone? This is Barnyard here, logging in today. Gonna go over 42 hours worth of harvests and hunts that I have pending. Kind of go through my basic strategy when I log in during the day and stuff like that. So I haven't logged in probably about 6 hours or so. So my optimization is pretty poor today, but I should have all my bees available and be able to send it out and kind of show everyone my strategy for when I'm harvesting and hunting out here. So first thing I do when I log in, it's out of habit. I always go to my friends list, claim all, send all, which I'm currently up to date. So no qualms there. Next thing I typically do, I let it pending today just so I can show it on video, but I'll go to my main shop and I will make sure I buy anything agility, capacity, and endurance related, just because it's the cheapest way to consistently get shards. Right now, with HXD being worth a little bit more than it was a few months ago, I'm not typically looking to refresh. So cleared up my shop. Typically, I'm at this point in my time. At this point in time, I'm already looking for marketplace, and I do like the raffles though. I'm a sucker for that. So that's kind of always my big drain on HXD. And we'll see. We got 5 hours left on that, 5 days left on that, and 5 hours left on the land. So hopefully I get something. We'll take a look later. Go to my bonus wheel spin. So being VIP level 10, I have 4 spins per day. So we'll always go ahead and try and get the shards out of this. And if you're newer to the game, the best shards really are, I personally hope for the royal jelly shards to help with my breeding. The queen upgrade shards, I think we could see a bottleneck here soon as far as queens go if we get player influx, when we get player influx. And the Genesis, or I'm sorry, the queen egg shards are always nice to have as well. So we'll go our final wheel spin right here. We'll go ahead and do that. So, like I mentioned before, we're looking probably about 42 hours worth of claims. Oh, perfect. Another bee just came back. So we'll go ahead and look at our rewards and see what that looks like. So this is our land benefits for the last 2 days. As you can see, let's see here. I have 37 total lands. This kind of gives you an idea of what the lands bring back, right? So these are assorted between zone 1 all the way to zone 8. So out of the 37 lands, they're earning roughly 220, 225-ish HXD a day just from the harvesting. And then the hunting rewards, there's a lot of variability in that, right? If you have desired shards, you're going to have more activity. You're going to have higher commission fees. So I'd say it's normally about an average of about 200-ish HXD a day. So between my land holdings, we're looking probably about 400 to 450 depending on the day. And that's honestly passive income. And that's kind of how lands were designed. It was supposed to be more of a less active way to collect HXD. So we'll go ahead and claim those. I find personally at this point, with my hive being as large as it is, that the major land benefit for me and for whales in the game is the exclusivity of being able to harvest and hunt your own lands. One, without the commission fees, but two, without nearly as much competition, and then you're able to use your own items on the lands. But then also, if you have higher zone lands, you're able to min-max your bees where you don't have to worry about it being endurance guarded. And I'll kind of touch on that when I go through my my harvesting strategy, and I'll show you guys exactly what I'm doing, how I'm setting them out, and trying to maximize my HXD harvest. Not necessarily in the most optimized fashion, but in a way that works for me, checking in only 4 to 5 times a day, and trying to maximize, I guess, my time in addition to my HXD harvesting. So we'll go ahead and claim our hunts now as well. 150 hunts, that's a little bit low. I tend to average around 100 to 120 per day. But again, not quite nearly as optimized today. And we'll see some of the notable shards we're getting. Some queen upgrade shards. Some egg shards, which are always nice. Some royal jelly. Those are the notable ones. Go ahead and claim our other 50 hunts. So go ahead and notate that down. 149 hunts today. Unless 42 hours, I should say. And then we will go ahead and check our HXD balance. 66657. And then we will go ahead and start claiming our HXD. Since I started notating every day, I'd say it's been an average of about 11 to 1200-ish HXD a day that I've been earning if the app doesn't crash. Man, that never happens. It must be compatibility with my iPad because I do not have that problem on my phone. Yeah, about 11, I'd say 1150 is pretty accurate. 1150 HXD per day harvested and roughly 100 to 125 hunts a day. That's pretty consistent for my activity. You know, the other day I was able to extract 1400 HXD, but I was up kind of late, had an extra set of logins that night. So that's kind of what it turns into. You know, my picking a number out of nowhere goal is I'm trying to get to 100,000 HXD earned in game. As you saw, you know, I'm right around 66,000, so about 2/3 of the way there. So if you guys want to follow me on Twitter, that would be fantastic. I'm at thebarnyard23. I try to do daily updates with my harvests and my hunts. If you don't want to sit and watch the videos, I'm going to start trying to do threads on there and guides and whatnot, in addition to the YouTube, and probably start doing a TikTok thing, which I haven't set up yet. So if you could rate, review, subscribe, that'd be fantastic on here as well. I'd really appreciate it. So yeah, so finish our claims here. We'll do the beep boop math and figure out exactly how much honey we harvested in the last 42 hours. It'll give kind of a good gauge, and I can show you guys exactly what I'm doing to obtain that. So 68,459. So we'll go ahead and do that. I don't feel like doing the longhand math right now, but 68,459 minus 66657, so 1,800 honey, 1,802. So that's actually a slow day, but I guess it makes sense, right? We figure another 6-hour span before it's the, well, 5-ish hour span, right? So that's going to be a full send for all my bees, and I guess that makes sense. That'll be about 200-ish HXD, so that's about on par. I think that's about what I average for a full send. I'll double check that tomorrow when I look next, but we'll go ahead and go to our tasks as well. Currently, there's not a huge reason for XP. The team has said that they're still monitoring it, even though you hit level 30 and that's the max level. I don't know if they're going to do some kind of badge or some kind of bonus reward or something going forward, but I try to do a lot of my tasks just in general, just to keep up on it. So I have not been breeding or hatching as of late, just kind of waiting to hold on to my breed counts and my assets for Universe 2 when it opens up. So I will say, if you were trying to level your account and grow your account to level 30, you want to make sure you were doing all of these tasks every single day. That's how you maximize your experience. That's how you maximize your level increase. And then that really is the bottleneck for activity level, for earning potential, and everything from there. So typically I will do a PvP every day, just so I can get my reward for that. And it is easy HXD generally. So you can see my list. Really, this is the least populated it's been in a long time. I try to snipe easy wins, though. So we'll go ahead and do a refresh. See if I can't get an easier opponent, and I can't. So at this point, if these are the opponents I'm coming into every day, yeah, I probably could beat them with my PvP team. The risk reward doesn't necessarily make sense. If I do lose with my PvP team, then I'd really rather not give up the HXD and have to craft a shield anyway. So we'll go ahead and leave that for today. If you notice, I don't have a set defense or attack team. Reason being for that, I would rather have my designated bees. The bees I would have designated for those, I'd rather have them out harvesting and hunting. At this point, I'm cool with just having a shield and trying to maximize my harvest and my hunts. So where we go from there, we'll go to our universe. We'll check what the heck we got going on. So as you can see, I'm currently active in 6 lands, so we'll see which lands those are. A Zone 8, a Zone 8, a Zone 3, a Zone 3, a Zone 7, and a Zone 8. So, unfortunately, the highest producing, well, I shouldn't say unfortunately, the way the game is set up, the highest producing lands are going to be your Zone 8s, right? The way the tiered halving works. If you guys aren't familiar with that, if you imagine a Zone 8 land producing, if you imagine every land producing 1 HXD, how the tiered halving works is that the Zone 8 land would actually produce 1 HXD. Zone 7 land would produce, 85% of that, so 0.85 HXD. Zone 6, I think it scales to 0.7%, and then it scales so on and so forth, so that when you're going to a Zone 1 land, the maximum amount of HXD you could potentially get is a lot less than going to a Zone 8 land. So because of that, there tends to be higher levels of competition and less reserves on the higher the zone lands if you're going for efficiency and harvesting. So my typical strategy, I will go to a Zone 8 kind of cluster, and I'll look for lands with high reserves, right? Because it turns into a point where you're fighting these other bees to try and get these reserves. Generally, I look for 8 or more HXD in reserves. I'll go there, and I have my squad set up so that I can just filter through. I still need to upgrade some of these bees so they qualify because it's endurance gated, right? But I have my squads set up by like matches. That way it increases their capacity, and again, it's one thing where it's less hands-on for me. So it might take them longer to actually fill up their max capacity, but it's less check-in for me, and I know that they're getting the maximum HXD that they potentially can, right? So I can go through my spreadsheet. Probably another video, I'll end up going through a spreadsheet and kind of showing you how I crafted my upgrade plan, I guess, and kind of how I crafted my hive and how I organize and stuff like that. But the TLDR is that I have my squad set up so that it's all the bees that can reach Zone 8, and those are made up of high quality generation bees, right, where I upgraded their endurance to 270 plus, and the Genesis bees. And that's the beauty of the Genesis and why they're worth so much is, one, there's a finite supply of them, but two is they are not endurance gated, right? So even the worst stat Genesis bee can go farm a Zone 8 land. And that's kind of how I have my squads made up. If you look right there, right? The current selected bee, fun fact, that bee is actually the #1 utility or total stat bee of all the Genesis bees. And he just happened to be my mood. That's actually why I decided to be a curious hive, is I hatched that guy. I said, he's #1, we're going curious, and boom. So that bee comparatively to this bee right here, right? So one of my Gen 1 bees who I did have to upgrade just so his capacity or his endurance level would be enough to go to Zone 8 land. So we know this land has about 9.5 HXD available in its surplus. So we'll go ahead and go send out all of our bees to harvest, and we'll send them all. We'll continue looking at the other lands. That one's about 8, but there's a bee already on there harvesting. 7.2, no competition. This is the kind of process I go through. So currently I have 5 squads of 12 that are able to reach Zone 8 lands. And then I have 1 squad that can reach Zone 7. So those are always my first go-tos when I'm trying to decide where to send out my squads. I work my way from higher to lower, just from the way the bee selection works. It's a lot easier to navigate it that way and filter it down. Man, I never have good luck with these seasides. An alternative strategy to the like matching would be just going landform matching, right? And what happens there with the landform match is you're getting an agility boost. With the like match, you're getting a capacity boost. So that kind of splits hairs to, I guess, do you want to be more active? If you can be more active, I'd have to check the math on it, but it might be more profitable and more optimized to actually go landform boost as opposed to like boost if you have the time to actively play. So we found another land with no competition, 8 HXD, so we'll go ahead and set our bees out there. Zone 7, we don't want that. We want to go Zone 8 so we can maximize our stuff. If I go through and exhaust all the Zone 8 lands, as far as applicable lands for me to try and harvest, I will drop down to Zone 7. That does not happen very often, though. So we found another one right there. We'll go through our filters. And you see I have these squads organized into 12 bees because I can send out 12 bees per land. And there we go, 12 at a time. So we'll go through the process. Hopefully we can find another land or two that has the reserves, justifies us sending them there, and so on and so forth. And this is where it comes into, so, man, okay. In a land like this, right, I know Mauki, the owner, he tends to defend his lands, and he just did that right there using poison bombs. So as a landowner, you're able to use items on lands and you're able to cleanse them, so you get the advantage as far as harvesting and hunting goes. Mauki is a pretty active player, so even something like this where there is 15, 16 HXD in reserve, presumably those 5 bees on there belong to Mauki. As soon as he realizes his timer, whatever he logged back in, he's going to go to his land and try and do that. So he can item bomb. Hopefully I can get my bees to do there first, so I am going to take the risk on this one, and I am going to send my bees there. So with it being enough reserves, hopefully I can capitalize enough on it before Mauki logs in, realizes what's going on, uses an item on me. And just to be safe on it, I'm actually going to use an item before he does. So we'll go ahead and use my poison bomb. What this does is decreases the agility of unowned bees by 50% for the next 14 hours. So by me using this, hopefully the reserves generate fast enough that it makes sense for me to come back here on my next login, in 5 hours or so, or even after that, the 10 hours or so. And I'll still be able to reap the benefits of my item. Again, of course, Mauki could always log in. He could cleanse it. He could drop his own poison bomb, etc. But hopefully I'm able to get a full rotation worth of harvest out of here before Mauki realizes that I'm on his land. Sorry, Mauki, if you're seeing this video. Love you, buddy. And there's an even better land right next to it that I should have checked. If you notice, this owner is blank. That's either a listed land or it's a treasury-owned land. Basically, it's an unstaked land. So this is why I have the squad set up, so you can kind of see. All my squads are currently tasked right now, short of this one bee, right? They're either all harvesting, they're in recovery, or they're busy somewhere else. So, unfortunately, I just used that item on Mauki's land when I should have gone next door with no competition. But that's the risk you use sometimes. So now that I found my Zone 8 lands, I'll go to Zone 7 land. Although I think all of my Zone 7 bees are currently on a mission somewhere, so we'll double check real quick. And that's exactly it. So when we look back at the activity tab, the Zone 7 land would be all of my Zone 7 bees. And man, they are on a land that had competition. I don't know who that owner is. But you can see they've been there for, 6 hours now, so they are almost full. And they are competing with the other 10 bees on that land. Again, presumably the owner or someone else, not even presumably in this case, but someone else is trying to extract the honey from this land. So these guys should be done in an hour or two. And once they're recovered, I'll just send them out, right? So I do try to be semi-active when I can. So now that I've sent out all of my Zone 8 and all of my Zone 7 bees, I will start sending out through my lands now. Man, this something with the iPad. I'm going to take a look at this later, but yeah, now I've sent out all my Zone 8 and all my Zone 7 lands, Zone 7 capable land bees, right? So that's all my Genesis bees, all my upgraded bees, so the endurance gate doesn't apply. I'm going to go to my lands next. Again, the benefit is I'm able to use items if I need to. I'm able to cleanse them. I don't have the harvest or the hunting fees. They apply, but they come back to me as the owner. And I work my way down from my highest zone lands to my lowest zone lands. So I have 2 Zone 8 lands. I'll go there first. Even something like this, right? Even though there's no reserves and there's 11 other bees on there. Sorry, Big V, but I'll be using a poison bomb, and I'll be making sure my bees do this. I like using items on my own lands because, one, I know I'm going to be harvesting there constantly throughout the day. Whether it's competition or not, I'm going to make sure I have the advantage. I'm going to be sending out my best bees, and I'm going to be getting the HXD myself. So for Zone 8 and Zone 7, I am only harvesting with my bees. Zone 6 and lower, I typically do a 9 and 3 send, and that's where I end up getting my splits of harvest hunt. So there's my first Zone 8 land. I have another Zone 8 land, so we'll go there next. And that's where 12 of my bees are still stuck right now. So same thing. They've been there for the last 6 hours. They're still harvesting. There is competition there. I don't know if there was more or less during the time there, but just to help myself out for the next 14 hours, I'll use another poison bomb. And then next we go to, I don't have any Zone 7 lands, so I'll be going Zone 6 lands. So typically, I'll try to fill up as many Zone 6 and Zone 5 as I can to round out my 20 land occupied bee allowance. So we'll go ahead and do our 9 and 3. Because I don't have squads set up yet, for these, typically I'll just go with the land match. One that helps just as far as agility goes, but then it gives a luck bonus as well for hunting. I tend to be heavier on the seaside and the desert than I do my summit and my forest and my meadow. So you'll notice I've already used all my seaside bees. So I start doing my no climate boost bees next. And I try to hit, all of my higher zone land types that I can, right? So typically with me owning so many lands, I'm hitting only zone 5 and zone 6 lands typically. The occasional zone 4, depending on competition level with the rest of my lands. And that's my basic strategy, right? Is just zone 8s as much as I can, zone 7s as much as I can, zone 6 as much as I can, just scale my way down from there. I found that depending on unless there's a dozen or more bees on one of my lands, I'm really not deterred from harvesting and hunting my own, even if there's no reserves. Just again, I'm logging in every 5-ish hours or so. So for the most part, my cycle is going to be done by the time I come back to check in later that day. And something like this, right? 3 HXD reserve. There's 5 people harvesting on there already. I don't care. I'm just going to flood it with my bees. Sometimes they pull out. If not, I mean, we're just fighting for the faucet of the drip of the land. But we'll scroll on through. Now see, for example, right there, zone 5, there's 16 bees on there with 0 reserves. That's one that I won't touch. In that case, if we get to it and I still have bees available to send out, I'll be sending them to a zone 4, for example. But this one with 8 on there and there's a little bit of reserve, I'll send that, especially if I have the climate boost, right, for my deserts, for my summits, for my meadows. We just go through the process, right? So 17 lands currently, and then one thing we will do once we load up our 20 lands available, we'll go through and double check our activity and see, because I think there's 2 or 3 lands where I have 1 or 2 bees on there, so we can really finish filling them up and do our check-in, I guess, for how I look at it, right? Every 5 hours or so, check-in. So we'll go ahead and maximize all of our bees, make sure we're utilizing our full potential. And there we go, there's 19 out of our 20 lands occupied. We'll go down to our last one right here. Go ahead and send out. And then we'll go ahead and check our activity level up top. Check our land tab. 12, 11, 12, 12, 12, 12. For example, right there, 3 out of 9. So this is an extreme land, so the competition there, as you can see, they're almost done harvesting. We'll just fill up the land as well. We'll do that. I think there was one other land that was woefully undermanned. Exactly right there. There's zone 3. So we'll go ahead and send everybody there. Fill that one up. And just fill it up with harvest. So all of our bees are out. We got 20 lands maxed out. We don't have any more idle bees anyway. So yeah, that's our full cycle right there. Roughly 5 or 6-ish hours. We should be able to check back, and we should be looking at 220 rewards or somewhere in that neighborhood. So yeah, it should be about 200-ish HXD, would put us about 1,000 a day. So really can't complain. And yeah, I guess that's the check-in for the day. It's a longer-ish video, and like I said, like, review, subscribe if you don't mind. I'm gonna try and grow this channel out, and I'll start doing some guides. I'll start doing, I guess, a little bit more in-depth strategy, upgrade plans, how to mood match and stuff like that, and we'll go from there. Another thing I would like to do is the one of the most prevalent questions that tend to pop up is, what's the best way to grow a hive? How should I do this? And I will say the answer is it depends on your budget, right? If you're coming in and you're only willing to spend, invest $50, $100, it's drastically different than a whale coming in looking to invest $50,000 to build their hive. And I think that's one thing where HoneyLand is so cool, right? Is there's so many different strategies you can adopt to grow your hive. There's so many different strategies you can do as far as trying to optimize how you're playing the game, right? Whether you want to hunt, harvest, PvP. There's so many cool things in this game. And as simple as it looks on the surface, there are so many nuances and so many just cool little tidbits and number points you can adjust to drastically change your strategy one way or the other. So with that, I think I'll end this recording. Thanks for joining in, and see you guys on the flip.